Hello, amazing parents and caretakers, and welcome to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. I'm your family empowerment coach, Celia Kibler. I'm a mom of a blended family of 5 kids. I'm a grandma of 9 kids, an author, a teacher, a speaker, and a consultant with over 40 years of training and real-life parenting experience. I'm here to offer you practical, doable tips, strategies, and techniques that will pump up your parenting skills and create peace, love, and laughter throughout your family. In addition, I'll be interviewing some great humans that are on a mission to make your life a better, happier, and healthier life. So let's not waste any time and get started with the next episode of the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. Thanks for listening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 International Day of Calm Summit. And won't you agree this world needs a bit of calming down? So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us, and grateful for not only your presence, but if you have shared this with friends, family, coworkers, and your friends and family and coworkers are also watching. We have so much to talk about. 24 amazing experts that are going to share with you everything you need to know to live a calmer, richer, more intentional life and be the role model you want to be for other people. You know, we always talk about parents being role models to children, but when you think about it, we are actually role models for everybody, not just children, each other, the way you behave to somebody else, the way you react to something that you're unhappy with. And then our children see all of that. So they're not just learning from their parents. They're not just learning from their teachers. They're not just learning from other relatives and grandparents and aunts and uncles and neighbors. They're learning from you. Whether you are with a child or not with a child, if someone sees you on the street and the behavior that you are displaying, that child will learn from you. So it is very important that we start taking personal responsibility for the way we act, the way we react, and the way we respond to other people. So that's what this entire movement is about. This is about being able to raise a stronger, more confident, calm, productive, constructive, considerate, compassionate generation that will continue for generations to come. So think of all the adjectives you want a child to grow up to be. And if that child is yours, I hope very much that you are being that person that you want them to be. So thank you for coming. I'm Celia Kibler, and I'm the founder of the Day of Calm Foundation and the creator of the International Day of Calm. I'm also the founder of Fun Fit Family Fitness, co-founder with my sister Maddie, who you'll meet later. And I am also the founder of Pumped Up Parenting, and all of that umbrellas under the Day of Calm Foundation as we try to really end this epidemic, which I believe is an epidemic of anger and rage. And if you're not watching what's going on today, even in the States, it's an epidemic. If you're not being a part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. And our work is to really end this epidemic of anger and violence that is seriously affecting our children every day. You have to realize that the children of this world are the next generation. And if we're raising them in an angry, aggressive, raging, violent way, they are only learning that kind of behavior. And if they're doing the other opposite way, they're reacting by being the peacemaker and being the person that avoids all conflict, feels judged all the time, and second guesses themselves. So if that's you, You're either one way or another if you were yelled at or treated aggressively when you were growing up or lived in an abusive home. So I am also a mom of 5 kids. 2 I gave birth to, 3 are my bonus lovey children. And those 3 kids and those 5 kids, I should say, all range from 36 to 42. And I am the proud grandma of 9 children. So I've been raising kids for a long time. I've also been a preschool teacher for over 40 years, and I am an award-winning author. My book is Raising Happy Toddlers: How to Build Great Parenting Skills and Stop Yelling at Your Kids. Recently won the International Impact Book Award for Parenting and Mom's Choice Award. So there's lots that I'm going to bring you during my session, which kicks off first, and a lot that I will help with all the other speakers as they teach you moving forward. This is for you. This is for your friends. This is for your coworkers. This is for your family. This is for your kids. Your life will be better at the end of Saturday. So let's get started with my topic. The theme of this summit is the ripple effect. And why is it the ripple effect? Because I want everyone to realize, like I just briefly touched on, that with our personal responsibility, we can and will create generational change. The generational cycles of dysfunction and abuse continue because we decide they can continue. When I ask parents, and I've asked a lot of parents, why do they yell at their kids? There are 2 reasons that are mostly given. One is I ask over and over and over again, nicely, and they don't do it until I yell. We'll address that later. The other is I don't know any better. And what does that mean? That means that parent was raised in an aggressive way. They were yelled at. They might have been hit. They might have been beaten. That's what they know. And so they take that experience and they bring it into their family, their parenting, and their children. Same people on the streets that aren't parents. Their ability to jump quickly to rage is because they didn't learn emotional regulation. They don't know how to deal with things that aren't going their way or going right. It's very simple to break down that there are a lot of medical issues that come to reality, and a lot of substance abuse and physical abuse that comes to reality because those people, those adults, never learned from their childhood how to regulate their emotions, how they should be responding to emotions. Let me tell you, there's a lot of talk about big emotions, little emotions, good emotions, bad emotions. The reality is they're just emotions. We have them. Being mad and angry is not a bad emotion. It is a natural emotion that we all have. Being excited and happy isn't a good emotion. It is another emotion we all have. What goes under the category of good or not so good is the way we respond. Let me give you an example. Did you all watch the Academy Awards when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? And I did a post about this recently. And everybody talks about the slap. Will Smith walked up, he was so angry, and slapped Chris Rock in the face. But what the truly important part of that scenario is that Chris Rock did not slap back. He realized that he had control over his emotions, his reactions, his actions, his responses, And it was up to him to either continue this or end it. And he chose to end it. I am sure that slap in his face did not feel very good. But he was like, you know what? I'm not slapping back. All conscious choices that you didn't see him make, but he made. I'm going to make light of this and the show will go on. That is what I'm talking about. Just because somebody does something to you doesn't mean you do the same behavior back. That's what taking responsibility is for your own actions. If I ask you guys, and I think people that are with us can comment, if I ask you, and if you're at home and you're not on it with Zoom or you're on YouTube, if I ask you, who makes you yell? Most people will say, and you can write it in the comments, who makes you yell? They'll say, my kids, my husband, my wife, my coworker, my boss, they'll list an entourage of humans. The only one that makes you yell is you. Unless someone is holding a gun to your head, you are the only one making you yell. You are making a conscious decision to yell, scream, hit, whatever that response is. And if you can make a conscious decision to do that, you can make a conscious decision not to. I want you to think about that. And if you tend to be the type of person that aggressively reacts to a situation, you are the one that needs to learn to get control over that trigger, that emotion that's sending you off. Luckily, you're here. And there are a lot of wonderful experts here that are going to help you do exactly that. Find your calm. Find your peace. If you don't like what somebody's doing to you, don't do it back. You didn't like it, so don't be that person. Be you. I always say, be you. Everyone else is taken. So be you. Be that person that you want to be. If you're a parent, be that person that you want to role model to your children. That's how we start a ripple effect. That's how we end generational cycles. By somebody saying, it stops with me. Whatever it is, it stops with me. And I hope through this summit, you understand that it is under your control. And the more you learn, the more you know, the more you master, control comes easily. Because it's a reaction. It becomes your regulation. It becomes your emotional intelligence. And wow, what would the world be like if everybody had a better regulation of their emotions, more emotional intelligence? That is even more important. EQ, the emotional quotient, is more important than the intelligent quotient. Because you can be book smart, but totally fail in the way you handle everyday situations. There are a lot of CEOs of companies that do great in running a company, and they come home to their family and their family's falling apart to disaster. Some of those things are what you're going to learn today. Some of those things are what you'll be able to get during this participation. So let's understand what this, whole cycle of dysfunction and abuse is. There's a lot of things that happen to us and a lot of feedback we get from people we know. You do something and your parent chimes in, like, why are you doing that? Or a grandparent chimes in. Or if you're a parent and you're not yelling or hitting your child, you may have a relative that's like, you need to smack that kid. You're not toughening that kid up. You're making them soft. You'll have people that not only judge you, but you yourself will judge you. You will talk harshly to you. You will say to you, well, you know what? This is how it's always been, and this is how it's always going to be. In my culture, this happens. We hit kids in our culture. We yell at kids in our culture. That doesn't make it right. We get angry and rage in our culture. Well, how is that working out for you? Think about it. This country, this world is full of angry, raging people. Now, I will always believe that the majority of us are pretty darn wonderful. But we have violence happening everywhere. This is Child Abuse Awareness Month, the month of April. Last month was Human Trafficking Awareness Month. These are problems that exist because people have serious mental issues. And they either want to control everything, or they want no part of everything, or they want to get angry, they want to rage. Things don't go their way, they don't know how to respond. And their excuse is, well, that's how we do it. Well, isn't it time to change? So when a grandparent or a parent judges what you're doing, kindly and respectfully, because it's all about respect, talk to them about why you've chosen to do what you've chosen to do. What is missing in the world today is listening. Good listening. And I have a great listening game, which is actually a practice that you guys get if you want it, and you donate $1 to our cause. $1. You get the listening game, and you get the morning detox that I created so that you can start your morning on a positive note. So you get the listening game and the detox for just donating $1 and helping our cause create more calm and rebuild the school that we're trying to rebuild in Uganda. More about that later. But here's what's the problem is. Most humans listen, and I know you're all going to shake your heads at this. Most people listen, and while they're listening, they're planning their rebuttal. Yes or yes? Yes, right? We're like, okay, we're kind of listening, but what am I going to say back? And the problem is, if you're planning your rebuttal, you're not listening. You're missing half of what's going on. And this is especially important for your children. You want your kids to talk to you when they're teens. I've raised 5 teenagers. They've all talked to me. Why? I listen to them. You have to listen. The best listeners are the best communicators. Hands down. Stop talking and start listening, actively listening. That means you listen with your eyes. You're not holding a phone in your hand. You're not putting there's not a phone on the table, because all that message sends is, if this phone rings or if it vibrates, I'm getting it, which means this phone is more important than you are. Put your screens down. Listen. If a friend is sitting next to you, don't be on a screen. Listen. If your child needs to talk to you, listen. And you're not just listening with your ears. You're listening with your eyes, like I said, and you're listening with your heart. People have emotion when they talk. I'm very passionate about my beliefs, and you can hear that passion when I talk. Well, when you're listening to someone else, they are also passionate about it. They are also people that have something to say and feel a certain way about it. And how do you help them feel calm? and feel free to talk about it and not judged and not criticized is you let them talk. And maybe you hold their hand. Maybe you just sit next to them and listen. Maybe they don't need someone to fix it. They just need someone to hear them out. This world would be a much better place if we spent the time to listen to each other and hear the valid reasons we all have for thinking the way we think. We all have valid reasons. Whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them, you have valid reasons why you think the way you do, and I have valid reasons why I think the way I do. And you may not agree, but you may open your eyes to a different perspective. Listening opens doorways right and left. And all the prejudice, the hatred, why do we have that? Because people are not educated on whoever they're hating and they're raging about and they're complaining about. Religions that go back and forth, we're not learning about other religions. Racial conflict, we're not learning about other races. Cultural conflict, we're not learning about other cultures. Political conflict, we're not learning about other politics. Other sides. There's two sides and two perspectives to every coin. And if you believe some way with our internet, you can actually find all kinds of stuff that will align with what you think. But wouldn't it be interesting to sit down with someone of a different race, a different religion, a different belief, a different culture, and ask questions? Another important part of communication and calm communication. Ask questions. Get to know that person. I'm telling you, we all have very similar interests and goals. Your run-of-the-mill humans that roam this earth care about their family, care about their health, care about other people. Kindness is all over the place. The problem is the news shows 90% horrific things and 10% wonderful things. What if that was reversed? What if the news showed 90% wonderful things and 10% horrific things? What a different attitude people would have every day. Those people that watch the news every day, it's like poison. It is poison. Turn it off, please. Get your news somewhere else. Read a newspaper. Do they have newspapers? They still have some newspapers. Get it online. Get it coming into your email box. There are sources of news that pretty much give a fair view of life. But if you watch the TV news, it's all about drama. It's all about horrible things that are going to happen to you and your children. And it is all fear-based so that they make money. People love to see that stuff. So one thing I want to talk about as I move on from that topic is I want to go back to personal responsibility. And I want you to think about this. When things happen, are you quick to blame someone or make an excuse? Are you quick to say, oh, that was this guy's fault? Are you at work and they go, well, why did this happen? Well, I don't know. That was his fault. That was her fault. Do your kids, are they quick to step back and go, no, I didn't do it. I didn't do it, because they're afraid to get in trouble. But what's important is that we teach our kids to take personal responsibility. We do certain things and make choices all day long. Everything we do is a choice. Everything. You choose to get up. You choose to get dressed. You choose to go to the bathroom. You choose to eat breakfast. You choose to get in the car. You choose to walk. Everything in life is a choice. And the only one making that choice is you. So if something doesn't go right, who decided to do that? You. And the way we heal is by taking personal responsibility. You're going to learn whole lot about healing in this summit, a whole lot. It's important to take personal responsibility so that you can heal, so that you can change the generational cycles of dysfunction and abuse and start the ripple effect of calm, of intention, of kindness, of love, of compassion. You are not creating soft children if you don't beat them. I have people talk about how, a dad said to me one time, you have to admit there's an appropriate time to hit a child. To which my response was directly, when is it appropriate to hit you? When is it appropriate for a wife to hit a husband to hit a wife, a teacher to hit a student, a doctor to hit a patient, a clergy to hit one of their members? It's never appropriate. It's never like, well, this would be a good time to smack this person. It's never appropriate. And the sooner we figure that out, the sooner we start bringing an end to anger and rage. The sooner we realize that hitting people and yelling and screaming at people are not normal. And they are disrespectful. It is our job to teach respect. Nothing about screaming in someone's face or yelling is respectful. And as we all know, a yelling match between a coworker, a spouse, a child, a friend resolves nothing and always makes things worse. Why do you think that is? Because you're not thinking rationally. You are not thinking about what you're saying or doing. You're just doing. You're just throwing a tantrum. We're going to have a wonderful speaker talk about helping you control your child's tantrums. Chris Lake, he's wonderful. And people think, oh, tantrums are just for children. Tantrums last all life long if you don't learn how to control them, if you don't learn how to react to you being angry or frustrated or disappointed. And if you are raging against another person, if you're destroying property, if you're screaming, throwing, hitting, go down the list, you are throwing a tantrum. A tantrum is an uncontrolled response to an emotion. You are out of control. You are not thinking clearly. You are not thinking of the possibility of what I should be doing if I don't do this. You are not thinking, well, is this good for me or not so good for me? Another great thing to teach your kids and think for yourself when you're making a choice. Want to help with willpower? Before you do anything that you think, I really shouldn't do this, think, is this good for me? Is this not so good for me? And then decide. And if it's not so good for you, don't do it. Same with your kids. Is this helpful or hurtful? When you're making a choice, teach that and do it yourself. You're the role model. But if you're raging and throwing a tantrum, you are out of control. Let me teach you something that will help you take a break from the elevated way your body is feeling, because we all feel something change when we get triggered, when our emotions get elevated, when our reaction feels like it might be edging on out of control. So I created an acronym called PEPA. So this is not Peppa Pig, but it makes it easy to remember. And it's PEPA, not PEPPA. The other P is for the pig. Throw that away. No pig. PEPA. Practice it, remember it. Peppa, Peppa, Peppa. And teach your children, teach your friends, teach your family. It means pause, evaluate, plan, and act. Pause, evaluate, plan, and act. And it's strangely applicable to so many situations. If you're getting frustrated on a project you're working on, maybe think Peppa and go, you know what? I need to take a step back, because your brain needs the pause. And once you think Peppa, once you actually think that word, you have instantly paused your brain. The minute you think Peppa, you've paused your brain. So you're on the track of doing things right. If you're in a middle of a situation, maybe with your kids, or maybe your kids are fighting and you just walked in from work and you've had a hard day, Peppa, pause. Don't just go over to them, start yelling at them. You're not helping. Evaluate. So what's really going on here? Maybe my kids are just sick of being together, which is usually why they fight, because frankly, they're sick of being together. So maybe I should just say, hey, you know what, guys? Let's kind of take a step back. Let's go. You go sit over there and read some books, and you go in your room and do something. And let's just do some calming down, breathing, relaxing apart, not together. So that's your plan. That's the plan you think of. Now go in there and tell the kids. Act. Our brain needs breaks. You're working on something and you're like, who's ever read a book like, my book? I'm sure this never happens when you read my book. But if it happens where you're like, oh my gosh, I've read this page 3,000 times. You know how it is when you read a book. This is a wonderful book, by the way. It's a manual. Yay. You know how they say kids don't come with a manual? They do now. Woo! Comes in Spanish and English. Selfless plug. Okay, so you read the same page over and over again, over and over again. Yes, yes. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've read that page 300 times. Then you're like, I got to walk away. And you walk away and you come back and you were looking for something on that page. And you open the book and there is what you were looking for in like neon lights. And you're like, whoa, that's because you reset your brain. Your brain needs reset throughout the day. You want to stay calm, you have to take breaks. You have to reset your brain. And so keep in mind that all of these things that you do and you master, you give your children permission to do. And I'm going to say that slow for you guys. It is extremely important to remember. Everything you do, good or not so good, you give your children permission to do. They don't just see you do and go, oh, I could do that. You might as well look at your child and say, you know what? I'm screaming, yelling, hitting. You have my permission to do that too. You're the example. If you're at work, if you're a boss at work and you're screaming and yelling at your employees and you're throwing a tantrum, you also give them permission to behave that same way. Or for the most part, they'll probably quit. Your kids can't quit. They're stuck with you. They want to be with you. They love you. They truly love you. And they want to be just like you. So all of the things that you do that are not so good, you give them permission to do. But the good part of that is all of the things that you do that are great, you also give them permission to do. So if you learn Peppa, you give them permission to also use that acronym and help them regulate their emotions. If you give everybody in your business, in your family, permission to walk away, and we're not going to take insult We are just going to allow each other to say, you know what? I'm feeling a little tense. Let me take a break. Come back and talk about it. Don't take a break and then never talk about it. Come back and talk about it. But if somebody needs a break because they're escalating where they don't feel control anymore, let them go, because it's going to lead into a destructive conversation. It's not going to accomplish anything. So why waste the energy? Let's talk a little bit about the ripple effect and things you can do to change those generational cycles. Okay. We talked a lot about intentional communication. That's all about listening, asking questions, not assuming. So for that, like, a lot of people will be saying like, oh, how many times have you said to somebody or your spouse or your kid or your parents, well, they should know that. I hear it all the time from couples. I work with couples all the time. They should know. My husband should know. Why doesn't he know? Because he doesn't know. Because you didn't tell him. I get a little heated about this stuff. If you want something from your spouse or you want something from your child, speak up and be concise. Don't give general directions to a kid. Our human brains don't fully develop for 25 years. Eye opener, right? 25 years. If you're expecting your 5-year-old to treat you like, to respond to you, like an adult, you are going to be sadly mistaken, because it's not just difficult for them, it's impossible. They have 20 more years of brain development. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of growing up. Look at your child. Look at your teenagers. Your teenager's 16. They have 9 more years of brain development. I mean, sometimes you get that right? But we're not going to talk about, get into all that because we don't have a lot of time. But I want your communication with your children to be calm, to be concise. Like, instead of clean up this room, why don't you say, especially if they're a small child, honey, can you put those books on the shelf? Thank you. Can you put those cars in the bucket? Thank you. Honey, can you bring me that book? Why don't we read that one when we're done? Thank you. Appreciate things. And then say, look, you cleaned up your room. And after you do that a few times and you go step by step, they learn what clean up their room means. Because if you just say clean up your room, it will never be to your expectations and you'll get mad. Because they don't fully understand what your expectations are. But when you teach them step-by-step instructions, they now understand and they have learned. This is what clean up your room means. You save yourself a lot of aggravation not talking in generalizations. So speak concisely and calmly. Listen so that you understand where they're coming from. And allow them their emotions. And check your emotions. Okay, so a little bit about yelling, because if you know me, I'm all about stopping, or I should say helping 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Why? Because yelling is abusive. Yelling changes the way the brain thinks. When you are yelled at, when you are attacked, when something happens aggressive to you, we go into fight, flight, or freeze. Children do, you do. Fight, flight, or freeze. Think of those 2 words. The 3. I wasn't good at math. I obviously can't count 1, 2, 3. Freeze means you are just shocked and afraid. That's how, your children will do that a lot. You'll be screaming and they're not moving because now they're afraid. They're afraid of what's coming next. Flight, they run for the hills. That was me as a child. This day, the International Day of Calm, is dedicated to my dad. I'll tell you a little bit about that, but we only have so much time. Flight, we run away. We don't deal with confrontation. And fight is what it says. They fight back. They argue with you. They scream with you. They might get aggressive depending on their ages, whatever it is. Those are how we respond to yelling, screaming, and aggression. It can stop us in our tracks. And it will affect those little voices that we all have in your child's head. Isn't it bizarre that we all naturally think we need to grow up and recover from our childhood? How is it we haven't figured out that we need to be proactive and create childhoods that people blossom from, that they don't have to recover from? That's a lot that we do today. That's a lot of the work I do and many of our speakers do with their clients. It's time to have parenting be a priority. Do you know there is a system for every single thing that we do? Everything. There's a system for putting on pants. You teach your child. Tying a shoe. Going potty. There's a system if you learn to be a doctor, if you learn to clean streets, if you learn to be a plumber, an electrician, an attorney. There's always a system. But isn't it strange that for the most important responsibility we have to this planet, raising another human, people do it by flying by the seat of their pants? They are insulted if you tell them they need help. Why is that? How is it going so far, flying by the seat of our pants? Not going so great. That anger and rage is all over the place because we're just bringing in those cycles and then we're making more of us. How about we say it ends with me? Put it in the comments. It ends with me. And then learn a better way, because I raised 5 children in a blended family through divorces and all the things that go good with that, without yelling and screaming or hitting any of my children. And they grew up and survived, and they can talk about it. And they are respectful, good, kind, compassionate human beings. They didn't grow up disrespectful. They didn't grow up weak. They grew up confident. They grew up with respect and knowing how to also treat someone else with respect because they learned how to be respectful. We can stop this if you are intentional about wanting to stop this. You don't have to do it on your own. We're all here to help. The Day of Calm Foundation supplies parenting services and worksheets and classes for free. So nobody has to do without. And guys, the biggest, hugest, most wonderful thing is coming and will be announced on Saturday on the International Day of Calm. You will have every resource right available to you so that when you need to know what to do in any given parenting situation or teaching situation, you'll have an answer right then and there. But we're going to surprise you on Saturday with what that is. Respect is taught, and yelling and hitting and aggression, there isn't a thing, and destroying property is not respectful. And it's just making you look like someone who's out of control, like not a productive member of society. And that's what you are showing the world. That's what you're role modeling to kids around the world. And that's why they don't feel safe. They can't walk into a school and feel safe. They can't walk down the street and feel safe because of all this chaos. We have to calm this world. We have to heal ourselves through action, not ignore what's going on, not say, oh, this isn't going to happen to me. We have to heal ourselves through taking these sometimes difficult steps of making this world a better place. Before I stop talking, which is always a challenge for me, I want to tell you about a man who was very impactful to the progress of humanity. This man and his 4 buddies decided that airplane seatbelts should go in automobiles. And they went through all the safety testing to get airplane seatbelts into automobiles. That seatbelt that you wrap around your waist when you get in a car is directly contributed to him. Millions and millions and millions of lives saved. He also worked on seaplanes to gather water to put out fires on land. He also designed, produced the fastest warship anywhere for the U.S. Navy. No ship exists that's faster than this ship. So that if there's an emergency, the Navy can get in this ship and go to another country in hours. He worked on the Apollo missions. The things that this man did for humanity goes on and on and on, and that's the short list. That man is my father. And although he passed on in 2020, and April 5th is the day he passed. My mom passed 2 years earlier. Why I'm telling you this and why I decided to make this my mission is because this man that did so much for humanity, so much to just help people, felt like he was garbage. Up until the day he died on April 5th at 92 years old, World War II veteran, his whole thought of himself was, I'm not good enough. I'm always doing something wrong. I'm always making mistakes. He grew up to hate himself. He was physically and mentally abused as a child. And when children are physically and mentally abused, they don't grow up to hate you. They grow up to hate themselves. I don't know if we have a video of my client. I don't even know if that's available right now, but we'll show it. If it is available, let me know. She's 80 years old. She created the Day of Calm quilt, which you will have an opportunity to get. It's full queen quilt. I can't even speak. It's beautiful. Physically and mentally abused as a child and 2 marriages. Hates herself. If you ask her, and I have a video of me saying, do you love this person? Do you love this? Do you love yourself? In an instant, no. I think I'm so ugly. She said to me the other day, I look in the mirror and I think how ugly you are at 80 years old. Guys, you are raising a generation of kids that hate themselves. Do you think a kid that goes in and shoots up a school thinks he's like wonderful? No. He hates himself and he's going to take it out on other kids. Kids that bully other kids, are they thinking great of themselves? No, they hate themselves. Where did they learn to bully? Probably from their parents who are bullying them. And if you're yelling and hitting kids, you are bullying your kids. I want you to really think about what you're teaching other people. Time to look in the mirror. I know it's not something we want to do, but look in the mirror. I think now we're going to hear from Anita.
Well, bad.
What are you telling
Instead,
yourself?
I'm useless.
Which you're not, but go ahead. Tell me what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Well, I've gotten to where I'm more trouble than I'm worth. How old people cause more trouble than they're actually worth. So I'm one of them.
So, other than burning this pot up, what was the last disaster you would say you caused?
I've never done anything like that before. I'm almost 80 years old. I never done anything like that before. Never.
So, does one mistake
Yes.
and let me finish. No, it doesn't.
Does that
The
constitute
answer is
feeling that way?
no. Does
Yeah.
one mistake ruin a whole wonderful life?
Yes.
No, it
Yes.
doesn't.
Yes.
Because yeah, how much have you've cooked meals for how long now? How long have you cooked the meals of the house?
Years.
Years. And what, other than the burning up of this pot, what is the last meal you burned, caught fire?
Never.
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 You've never even burnt a meal. That's better than me.
No. No. No, I never have. I always stay right there. I always stay right there in the vicinity. I usually don't leave the food. So,
So that means that for your efficiency of cooking meals without burning the house down is pretty much 99.9%.
yeah.
Okay. Not quite 100 because you almost burned the house down this time,
Right.
right? Okay.
Right.
So 99.9% of the time, you cook perfectly safely.
Yes.
And I think you still have a lot of like, would you say you still get concerned about what other people think of you?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, good Lord, yes. All the time. Every day. Every day.
And that comes from the way you were raised. That comes from
Yep.
all that abuse
Yep. Being
because you
beat up all
always
the
had to
time.
look out for what you were doing in case
Yep.
somebody thought it was like the end of the
Yep.
world and would hit you or
Right.
scream at
Yep.
you or whatever they did.
Yep. Or slap me.
Yeah.
Yep. Always.
When you got slapped as a child, hit as a child, slapped, hit as a wife, how did that make you feel?
Pretty rotten. Pretty rotten. But I always figured, you know what? I guess I deserved it. Sometimes my mouth got me in trouble and I deserved it. And I knew I was going to get it. And my mouth just had diarrhea and said it anyway. So,
So if your husband or a brother or a parent or somebody said something that you didn't like, did they deserve to be smacked?
no, but if they said something to me that that I didn't like, I would just cower and go away.
So
I do.
why did they not deserve to be slapped, but you do?
Yeah, because more than likely what they were saying was true. I
Okay,
probably
that's
was being
possible.
rotten.
But even if it wasn't true, do they deserve to be
No,
smacked?
no,
Does anybody deserve to be smacked?
no.
No. Your mother, you were beat by your mother and your father,
Yep.
even though your father adored, you were like his boy. Do you love your mother?
Yes.
Do you love your father?
That's questionable. I've thought about that over and over again. I can't say that I love him, but I respect him because he is my father figure.
So you respect him in theory.
Yes. But loving him, That would be a stretch.
Do you love yourself?
No,
See how
not at
easily you
all.
said that?
Yep. Yeah.
So instead of being fearful of what you do wrong, think about what you can do that's right. What
But
are
you know
all
what?
the things you do that are right
But when I do one thing wrong, it supersedes everything.
in your head?
Yes.
Except that
Yes.
when Brandy did that, when Stacy did that, did you look at that as the worst thing in the world or just a mistake?
No, I just a mistake, but it
So
wasn't
why
me.
is it the worst thing in the world for you?
Yeah, because it's me.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it's
Yeah.
just a mistake for other people,
Yeah.
you have to remind yourself it's just a mistake. And what happens when we make a mistake? Do we
Yeah.
beat ourselves up or do we learn from it?
Both.
No, no.
First we beat ourselves up, and
And then
then
we
then
learn
we
from it.
yeah, and then we learn from it.
Well, you could be disappointed that it happened,
Yes.
but then realize, okay, so it's never happened before. Very telling, right? Very telling. And that's what's going on in your child's head. And it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. And if you don't think it's hard to change the patterns for 80 years, it's very hard. It is a difficult reality that our actions are actions that impact our children for the rest of their lives. And simple thought, what do you want your child to be? Who do you want your child to be? And how are they going to learn that if you're not that person? You have to be that person. You have to be the one that will change. You have to decide that this ends with me, that we need to end this anger and rage. We need to end this abuse. This is not teaching anything but negativity and hatred. That wonderful woman who sewed the quilt for the day of calm and gives quilts out, full queen quilts, just makes them and gives them to people. And she gave us one for somebody to win. She feels like she's worthless. And it makes you cry. So I want you to think about that. And I also want to see if, before we move on to our next speaker, are there any, sorry, I was saying if there was a message to me. Are there any questions that anybody has before I finish up my talk and we move on? Crew, are there any questions?
Not yet, Celia, but
Okay.
I'll really love to share the video that we made for Rescue School. So if
Okay.
you're
All right. So we'll share that video in a second. Let me just say that our next speaker coming up is a wonderful human. I love her dearly. She's coming from across the pond in the UK. And I'm going to tell you about Allie McClure as soon as we come back from this video. Awkward silence. Shall I sing? We can't hear very well.
Sometimes they leak a lot, especially during rainy season. It is a rainy season, by the way, as per now. You can see. This is primary 4. I think here you can see our classes are attacked by termites, and anytime we expect them to collapse. You can see how termites attack them. Yeah, these are the classes where children study from.
This is my classroom, but it doesn't have walls.
When it rains, classes become wet, cold, and this makes chats damage.
My name is Mary Given. I live in a poor condition house. We fetch water from ponds. We do not have electricity at home.
When I'm coming to school, I eat cassava and sometimes I spend the whole day without eating, and this causes poor performance in class.
I would like to be an engineer, yet I walk long distance and reach school late.
I would like to be a nurse, yet I don't have books to read.
My name is Ainaman Arnold. I would like to be a heart surgeon, yet I don't have enough books to read.
I would like to be a teacher, yet I walk a long distance and reach school late.
My name is Kasane Esther. I would like to be a doctor, yet I don't have enough school supplies.
My name is Asima Bashir. I would like to be a lawyer, yet I'm an orphan.
That's the school we're supporting. And everything you can give is going to go directly to that school to rebuild it for those kids. An amazing school. About 380 students. And as you can see, they're in desperate need of buildings that are not going to fall down. Look in the chat. Oh, I'll look in the chat. Okay, so here's the donation gifts we have for you. For even $1, you get the morning detox and the listening game, which is really a listening practice. For $50, you get 3 months in my Tranquility Tribe. It gives you group coaching and master classes and support to help you be the parent you want to be. For $100, you get a free trip. I'm not kidding, guys. This is a free trip to Mexico, Dominican Republic, or Jamaica. 3 days, 2 nights. Gives you a little personal calm. You have to get yourself there. But it's an all-inclusive, and it's probably a value of about $1,000, and that's all ready. Wait, don't start yet. That's given to anyone who donates 100. You donate 150. Oh, you have look, a screen. Okay, put that up. 150, 1 year in the Tranquility Tribe. $500 for private calls with me. That value is a lot more than $500. And you get everything above that. Like, so the more you get all of the things, and then you get the next thing. And $1,000, the first one to give $1,000 gets Anita's quilt. And I will get that for you so I can show it after the next speaker. Thank you for putting that up. So donate now. Go to dayofcom.org and you'll see the donate button right there. Even $1 will get you started on a calmer, happier life and get these kids into a place where they can thrive. They don't have to not work because it's raining inside their school. They'll have playgrounds, they'll have dormitories. All that architectural design is all donated by Curtis Ginsburg, who are the leading eco architects out of New York. So please give anything you can afford. We are grateful for it all. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Pumped Up Parenting Podcast. If this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a friend and leave us a review that will help others. Wonder why kids don't come with a manual? Well, wonder no more, because I wrote you one, and it's just won a wonderful Mom's Choice Award. Go to celiasbooks.com and buy your copy of Raising Happy Toddlers, as well as my children's books. I appreciate you being part of my mission to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Please be intentional and hug on those kids of yours. See you at the next episode.